EMA Cloud Rants with Jim Bugwadia from Nirmata. Jim, 72% of enterprises today, I have to say 500 employees and above, is the enterprises that we asked, have issues with shadow containers, with shadow Kubernetes platforms, right? It's a little bit like the old, it's like Shadow IT 2.0, and that's what your application management platform helps with, to bring that back under corporate control, because that's one of the biggest pain points today.
Right. Yes, and Nirmata is designed ground up for a central platform team, a central operations team to provide a service, a container service to several lines of businesses within the enterprise. So what we see in the container space, much like with any new technology, the initial traction, the initial usage was with the BUs, with the lines of businesses. But now enterprises are realizing there's significant value and efficiencies, cost savings in consolidating the use and managing it in a central manner.
So if I'm struggling with shadow containers, if I have issues with my audits, and that's also one of the biggest user demands, right? We can do DevOps, but it's killing us with the audits. And when people say that, there's always a gap somewhere in the automation and in the governance, right? And how do you help people pull in those environments, right? First, you need to find them. Right. They're typically aware that they are there somewhere, right? They point you and say, here's the 3 schedulers, right? We need to bring those back. And what do you do with Nirmata to get them back?
Yeah, so with Nirmata, you can stand up new Kubernetes clusters, of course, but you can also discover existing clusters. And once Nirmata discovers the cluster, we embed our controllers, our policy engines, admission controllers into the cluster itself. So from there on, you get the full visibility, audit trails, as well as management of that existing cluster.
Interesting. So it basically helps me draw a line where I can say, okay, here's for my DevOps process in the future. I built them new, but for all the shadow IT that I'm worried about and where I see there are my gaps in the audit process, I can pull those things in. And that really is also nicely underlined with what we see in terms of customer demands. We see literally 90% of enterprises want help, right? They say, no, Kubernetes is great, and I'm pretty happy with Kubernetes. The satisfaction is high, but 90%, 9 out of 10 enterprises really need a commercial platform to help, because Kubernetes looks simple, is simple on your laptop and on a small cluster, but in production, you need to do something to reduce the complexity, right?
Absolutely, right. So we see enterprises very quickly end up with multiple clusters to manage, perhaps even across cloud providers. Right. And keeping the clusters consistent, upgraded to the right versions, compliant, as well as making sure that the workloads that are running on the clusters are, managed by the right policies. So it's not just the cluster components itself, but the applications need to be managed as well. Yeah. So that's the focus of Nirmata, on the operations of management of that entire stack.
Yeah, it's the consistency, and you almost tie the container together with the application so that the end user doesn't have to worry about it, and the operators don't really have to worry about it. And that was the initial promise of containers. And I remember people saying, oh yeah, containers are managed by the developers. That's true, the containers are, but not the container management platforms, right? You have to distinguish there. And you have to have a connection between the containers and the management platforms, and that's what you guys are doing. And that's why we picked you as a EMA top 3 vendors in container management and production and at scale. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Torsten.